Steve Kerr, famous coach of the Golden State Warriors, came into his team in 2023, walked into the locker room and told the team, which consisted of the likes of Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and a few others, that the objective this year is to win the week. Why is that important? In an 82-game season, one game almost means nothing. But if you were to lose consecutive games, if you were to get on such a losing streak that you would lose weeks and weeks over time, well, you're not going to make the playoffs. If you're not going to make the playoffs, there's no chance at a championship, and there's probably not chance at season bonuses, those types of things. Now, why does this matter? As healthcare practitioners, whether or not you realize it, your most important client is yourself. You have to produce a sustainable level of high performance over time to serve your clients. You know, it's funny that in a given day, there might be a million problems, but if you have a health problem, you have one problem, only problem that you have. And so this is really a series of videos that is really about coaching the coach and sharing with you some things that I've learned over the years in working with various other practitioners, entrepreneurs, and business owners, and how to achieve sustainable high performance over time. We'll talk almost very little about health and a little bit more about frameworks and useful tools and utility that you can implement today and help you have that successful practice where you can show up healthy day in and day out for all of your clients. So let's go back to Steve Kerr and the Golden State Warriors. He told the team, win the week. And let's now bring this to our individual practices, right? We all know that if you miss a day of working out, if you miss a day of nutrition, over a long enough time span, it really doesn't matter unless you're probably training for Mr. Olympia. But the point there is how do we win the week? In a 7-day time set, or whatever you set your week to be, maybe it's 5, how do we make sure that we're hitting our stride on the majority of the days? And this is where I like to share a little bit of a practical example of gamification. And it involves scorecarding. Just dance with me here for a little bit. If you take out a spreadsheet, and maybe you use spreadsheets, maybe you use a journal, whatever, and you list down a handful of categories that matter to you. And in each category, you pick 1 or 2 habits that you would ideally like to hit on a daily or a couple times a week basis. Now let's build that out together, shall we? So I'm going to pick together several categories, and I borrowed this from one of those productivity books, but the great thing about productivity books is you can borrow what's useful and throw out what's not. So when we're talking about winning a week and putting together a scorecard, really with that objective of sustainable high performance over time, what does that look like in terms of categories? Well, we can write down on the top avocation or hobbies. We can write down vocation or work. We can look at spirituality or that belief in something greater than yourself. By the way, if that word spirituality tickles you a bit, or you start jumping into religion, it gives you exogenous cortisol spikes, skip it, or skip anything else that I'm saying. Health. I think this one needs no introduction. Friends. Relationships are certainly an important aspect of living. Relationships, whether it be with your spouse, your kids, your family, etc. So you have each of those categories. And in a given week, you might want to accomplish certain goals. So let's go to the health one because I think that's easiest for all of us to relate to. In a health category, you might say strength training, and you might have a column there that says 2 times a week. And then you have your other columns Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And in each time you successfully hit that, you put a 1 in the column. You'll have that for other hobbies as well. Let's say maybe you have cardiovascular training. You have a goal of twice a week as well. You hit it twice. You sum up your tally at the end of the week. You have another 2 in that total column. You go into avocation, and let's say you have an obsession with playing chess. And you play chess ideally 4 times a week, and you only hit 1, right? That sum total at the end is 1. And now when you've gone through all of those categories and all of those habits, and each day you're tracking, okay, which of these habits did I hit? Did I stretch today? Did I move today? Did I do my time-restricted nutrition today? Did I sleep 8 hours today? And you check those boxes, you'll end up with a daily score. And then you sum over the 7 days and you end up with a weekly score. And within that scoreboard, you now have really a weekly score that you can try and beat week over week. And so now you've just made this whole idea of sustainable high performance over time, not only quantified, not only have you given yourself habits and just tactics to achieve week over week, but you've also gamified it. And so the game becomes, how do I beat yesterday's score? How do I beat last week's score? How do I keep going on an up and up, or kaizen approach, as those lovely Japanese people would love to say? And so here, what we've outlined is really a simple framework for you to win the week. And unlike those 2023 Golden State Warriors, my hope is that if you implement this over time, you show up more present, more focused, and in such a way that you're in that high performance state for longer periods of time. This framework, this little scoreboard, has worked well for me. It's worked well for several of my clients who are business owners, and I hope it works well for you.